Oh, what's that? A bell? Time for school.
Oh, yeah? Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. I'm your host, Mark Kulagowski, and it's time for the Panelists Favorites Show. Tonight, we finally get to the master of the beat and the rhythm. Tubs, pies, kicks, ride, hairpin, crash. And when they got it, they got the chops. They got the feel. They got the funk, the groove, the ostinato. I don't know. Look it up. It's critical. They're in the pocket. They can vamp. Oh, that one you'll have to look up, but it's associated with some of the coolest and memorable songs of all time. Anyway, drummer is not such a simple term. Percussionist, drum nerd, rhythm king, timekeeper, beat master, skin basher. Sounds like an HBO show. Stickman, pocket god. Yeah, I made that one up. Some become Jabbo. You got the professor. Actually, there's two of them called the professor. You pick. Cozy, Whipper, Bonzo, Moon the Loon, Clown. One is literally named Animal. Pork Chop. Yeah, he doesn't drum for Meatloaf. What else is there? Oh, and there's one that's actually called Doctor or Professor. So he's got two monikers to his name. So all kinds of good stuff. Before we get into it, if you're here again, your skin is pretty thick. And I appreciate you. And if you're new to our little music appreciation channel, you found us, which means you got some beat to a different drummer because for some reason or another, you love the music. Stick around. And I use the word stick because that's funny.
No.
Yeah, I promise it'll be funnier as we go.
You can edit it out later.
Yeah.
Wow. You just reminded me of somebody else.
Ooh, that's what I like to hear. Last minute changes.
No. It's not Minnesota, but I'm adding them into the list.
Drummers tonight. It's part one. Why? Because drummers are so important to the band. Right? So we give them part one, part two, probably some other show down the road. Remember, they're sticking to their favorites. Okay? May not be the one that is claimed the god of drum. You know, it may not be. It's who our panelists love. So don't get too bent. It takes a hell of a panelist to be better than no panelist at all. I mean, we've got a new panelist, Steve Scouten, and everyone's on Steve's team. I'm on Steve's team. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Obviously, he's got Ray and Jeff as his. You're in. If they say you're in, you're in. I can't. It's easy.
It's a big hurdle to jump, but I'll give it a shot.
All right. Oh, she remembers the rush of it all. Susie Q.
Just do your 1/6. You'll be all right.
No hints there, Mark.
Yeah. There's no one more cozy in his pocket. Jeff Young. Ooh. He always gives his enemies' kids a drum set. Vengeance is his. Ray Geska. That's one of the sets he gives out. That's probably one of the kids in the background, right? And he's got the feel for all of this and the industry chops to prove it. Jeff Crichton. And that's the six of us. So good evening to all. I'm assuming I went through this. This was hard.
We're an hour in. Can we take a bathroom break? Sorry.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with the lady tonight. Give me your number 5.
Susie!
All right. Oh, okay. Funny.
I was thinking about putting that in, but it's just way too much editing.
Okay, so I'm so bad at the build up, but you have amazing people on tonight, so there won't be a lack of that. This drummer, aside from all of his talent and skills, has one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen. I could see it, I don't know, were we 200s, 300s? But I don't know if he was ever more happy than when he was behind his drum kit and he put his whole heart into it. And I'm glad I got to see him. I went with Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters.
Nice.
I
Yes.
thought you were
Enjoy.
going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going the other guy in the Foo Fighters.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
well,
right. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
I will,
yeah.
Hey, oh, forgot about him. I'm sorry. I don't know.
He was a drummer in his own way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Good
He was
choice.
like Animal.
yes.
I
Well,
love
he was
Hawkins.
in the Muppet movie with Animal, so
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And a guy who's, everybody thinks Foo Fighters, but what, he drummed for Alanis Morissette?
yes,
A bunch of other people too, right?
he did.
R.I.P.
Well, let's get over to Jeff Crichton and see what he's got on number 5.
Uh-oh.
I'm starting out with a session drummer.
I know it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this guy, oh my gosh. Here's a who's who of who he's played with. Percy Sledge, Wilson Pickett, Etta James, Aretha, the Staple Singers, Paul Simon, Bob Seger, Bobby Blue Bland, Solomon Burke, J.J. Cale, Jimmy Buffett, Clarence Carter, Eric Clapton, Joe Cocker, Ry Cooder, Jimmy Cliff, Albert King, Mac McAnally, Julian Lennon, Delbert McClinton, Laura Nero, the Oak Ridge Boys, Little Richard, Johnny Rivers, Leon Russell, Boz Scaggs, Dwayne Allman, and Rod Stewart, just to name a few.
And a partridge.
And who am I speaking with? The great from Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and playing with the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. That's right, it's Roger Hawkins.
Mm.
2 Hawkins right off the bat.
Yeah. Again, we do not plan these ahead of time. That was just pure rock luck right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great
That's
pick
just
on my list as
great.
well.
It's joy.
Let's get over to Jeff Young.
All right, I'm going to Canada for this one, and I'm taking Gil Moore from Triumph because not only a 3-piece, not only is he just a drummer, but he's a co-vocalist, co-songwriter. I don't know, it just seems like really hard to sing while you're drumming, but some of the more notable tracks that he does lead vocals on would be Allied Forces, Rock and Roll Machine, Follow Your Heart, Tears in the Rain, and then on the last Triumph album, after Rick Emmett left, he did all the vocals.
Yeah.
American Girls.
Yeah, so he's the current owner of Canada's largest recording studio, Metalworks, and they've actually recorded artists like Drake, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Katy Perry, Black Eyed Peas, Jonas Brothers. So he's just successful with everything he does. But some really great, memorable songs vocally, and just notable as a drummer too. So that's who I picked.
All right.
Cool.
Our new panelist, Steve.
Mark, this was difficult. I looked at plenty of people, and I look at a drummer as very similar and parallel to what a point guard is in basketball. You really have to be able to, commandeer all the other members of the band. To your point, you have to dictate the rhythm. So with my number 5 selection, I looked at a band that is just multi-piece, who I've had the pleasure of seeing countless times, to the point where the last time I saw them, I wore this guy's soccer jersey to the show. My number 5 is Carter Beauford of the Dave Matthews Band.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, multiple lists he was on. I saw that and like, geez, yeah, you kind of forget, if you're not live, what I mean?
And I've seen him so many times, and he just holds the rhythm, and his passion's enthusiastic when he plays. He I've seen them probably 12, 13 times, and he never is without a ton of spirit. So for that reason, and the longevity, they've been playing quite a long time now. They're going on 30 years. So this is year 30 actually, right?
I would
Yes.
think so.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
tour all the time. That's never like they don't tour.
32.
Yeah, I just saw them again in May, and they're just fantastic. And as much as Dave is the out front leader, you don't get far without Carter bashing the drums. So he's my number 5.
Great pick. And to that point of Matthews, I don't think he would be successful alone, right?
He's great alone, but when you put Carter, when you have the whole band, you need that point guard, and Carter's that guy. So
I like the tete-a-tete with him and the other guitarist. Oh my God, I can't think of his name.
Tim Reynolds.
Tim Reynolds. That's always an interesting part. All right, so Ray's gone dark on us. Did he know he was next?
I'm here.
All right, you go, Ray.
Oh, it's my turn. Watch out.
It is your turn.
Give me 1 second here.
Picked a fine time
coming up so quick. All right, here I come.
All right, so you're doing Black Sabbath. Is that it?
Here he comes. All right, so I'm going to cheat on this one, guys.
Okay.
Sorry, it's got to be a cheater on the panel.
Yeah.
Got to be a cheater on the panel. So I'm going to cheat here, and I'm actually going with a tie for 5th place. I'm going with a tie.
Such a Mark move right there.
The two of them got buried under the bigger names and front pieces of their respective bands, but these two were integral in the sound of the 2 greatest rock and roll bands of all time.
You're going.
I'm take them both at number 5. I'm taking Charlie and Ringo at number 5.
Whoa.
And again, so much in front of them, but they just kind of sat back and kept the beat going and kept the foundation of each of those bands going. So not always mentioned amongst the greatest drummers of all time, but
I'm sorry
to argue with either Ringo and Charlie.
Charlie and Ringo now they played in the Allman Brothers band together, right? I'm just kidding.
You never said their last name. I don't know who you're talking
about. That's Charles Sheen and Ringo, the song from
Lauren Green. Yeah, I thought you were going there.
Ringo starred Charlie Watts.
And I thought you were going for the Allman Brothers. I thought you were going for Butch and J-Mo.
Yeah. That's a collective sound.
I liked Ringo's comment. He goes, as long as I can hold 2 drumsticks in my hands and I'm playing in some sort of band. I didn't care whether it was rock. He says it could be, blues or just a little tempo, jazz.
Nice.
All right, so mine. I'm gonna be the bad guy here. I am going to go with somebody who a lot of people get irritated by. I don't know, and there's an album that most of the fans are not happy with because the drums are different. But I love Lars. I'm sorry, I love Lars Ulrich. He is.
I don't know how that would make anybody
nice.
There's so many like when the list of the greatest drummers of all time were listed, you should see the comments of like, why is he so far up? Like what I'm sorry, he exacerbates the situation there.
This is about favorite drummers.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God, the continuity with them, the incredible stamina. He should be dead by now.
There's watched him play 2 shows 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there's no concert part where they go, hey, want to lay off the drums a minute? it's constant. It looks like he's gonna pass out half the time. It's just
I was telling Mark when I went to see them a couple weeks ago with my kids. They played 2 shows in Tampa, and 2 hours both nights. And what was cool was the stage is like a ring now, and in between songs, even during pauses where he's not immediately needed, he gets up, he's slapping hands, he's running around. He's not just the drummer that sits at his kit and waits for his turn or leads. He's very active, even for he's an older guy now. Let's face it. It's harder to do at that age, but I don't know. He seems like he's still a pretty vibrant guy.
I mean, if the doorbell rings right now, I'm not gonna get it. Sue's gonna get it. I'm not leaving my chair. Anyway, and I know to this, my 5, and actually next week are all favorites. Like these will be people that if they whatever they put out, I got to hear it, I got to do it, I got to hear it, and you'll see as the list goes on. But all right, back to soup.
Oh, hang on, I gotta go get the door.
Good.
Look
Pizza here.
how fast I am.
Oh,
All right.
man.
So, this person, I was trying to come up. I wanted to represent the ladies, and
Oh, nice.
it's sad that I don't know a lot of female drummers. But I was listening to Prince last week, and it kind of it didn't remind me. I mean, you can't really forget Sheila E. But
Ooh.
I'm mentioning Sheila E.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's one of the best ever, but she's certainly talented, and I mean, I don't know who doesn't like Sheila E. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure what to say about her. I know I'm stumbling for words.
Is
but
there any drummer that plays standing up? Not
She
many.
sits down. She sits down behind a kit.
Some
She
yeah,
stands.
but
She
I
stands
mean, I
behind.
remember in certain cases she was standing up playing and going.
That's when
all
she
over.
was just doing the percussion thing.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
sits down behind a kit. And she's a great lady. I got to work with her early
yeah.
records. She's super nice.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely the first female drummer that I recall seeing, and as a female myself, you're just drawn to those people because it's like, oh wow, look at this person broke the mold. So
And her family is super, super talented. Her brother's a musician, and of course her dad and her uncle both played with Carlos Santana early
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, never mind. Just in case somebody says somebody. Jeff Crichton.
Okay, I'm going to the session guy again. Okay.
Yeah.
With all apologies to Ringo and Charlie, who I love and respect, but my number 4 pick, he started playing jazz. I started as a jazz drummer early on, and then Phil Spector hired him to play on the Ronettes' "Be My Baby." This guy's played with Frank Sinatra. He's played with Elvis Presley, not Costello.
Right.
Neil Diamond, the Carpenters, Simon and Garfunkel, the Byrds, the Monkees, and of course, he was the drummer you hear on Pet Sounds and Smile by the Beach Boys. He's the main guy in the Wrecking Crew, and that would be the legendary great Hal Blaine.
Yes. Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah.
Wrecking Crew, baby.
Yeah, I think every time I see a list, is he in the top 20, 25?
He might be in the top 10.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm trying. I went to so many like jazz drummers, metal, progressive. I just wanted to make sure that what I had, because my 5 at the beginning, I deleted my 5 here today. So, Steve, right? I think it's no Jeff Young.
Oh,
Jeff Young. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when I see this guy's name, you'll know immediately why I picked him. Rick Allen of Def Leppard. I mean, the guy continued his career after losing an arm in an accident. Like, I mean, notable songs, obviously Animal, Portion of Sugar, Me, Hysteria, where his drums are more noticeable, but just overcoming that amputation in 85. But actually, when he had the car accident, they actually reattached his arm, but then it got infected, so they had to amputate it afterwards. But what I thought was interesting was I read at age 14, his mom replied on his behalf to an advertisement placed by Def Leppard looking for a drummer. He joined the band on his 15th birthday in 1978. In 1979, he dropped out of school to concentrate on his music career. And then on his 16th birthday, he performed in Hammersmith Odeon when Def Leppard opened for AC/DC. What a way to start. I mean,
Yeah.
He didn't get it, so he didn't get a car on his 16th birthday. He got AC/DC.
yeah, I guess, but yeah,
Nice.
just to I mean, I've seen Def Leppard and I've seen him drum with one arm. It's just I don't know, it's just incredible story overall, just to overcome that. And I mean, that's why I picked him.
All right, over to Steve, and he's at Massey Hall.
And I'm in all correct. So you're going to see a trend here. I tend to appreciate drummers who play in bands that have a variety of instruments in them. Well, a lot of the more noted drummers play in smaller groups. This guy played in one of the larger ones, and in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated bands in the history of rock and roll. He is Richie Hayward of Little Feat.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Held it together for all those years. Even after Lowell passed away, Little Feat's library of music, still continues today.
Yeah.
And, Jeff will tell you, I've been harping on their lack of entry in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame forever.
Amen, brother.
And Richie Hayward is a foundational piece of that band, RIP as well. But I will take Richie Hayward at number 4.
There's just so many good drummers, man. Like, that's why when you Google drummers and it's like, here's a list of the top 100. Here's a list of the top 150. Like, because there's so many freaking good drummers.
Yeah. Great choice, Steve.
That's the great part about having a part 2 of this show, is to go back, look at this, research, and go, I can't believe I left this guy off my list, or this woman off my list.
I bet you we named 70 drummers.
I have a girl here who I absolutely love on my list, and we'll see where she lands, because
there is so the conversation of Little Feat. There are shows out there, and I was watching one the other day, and they were commenting on bands from the United States, the greatest exports of all time. All right. They were mentioned in the top 5.
Good. They should be.
And I was sort of taken aback. I'm like, over the band I just mentioned on my list. Okay. They weren't on there. All right. And Aerosmith was on there. ZZ Top was number 1.
Wow.
But Little Feat was at 5. And I kind of went back and went, geez, maybe. Yeah. So I went back. Yeah.
They've influenced so many bands over the years.
Yep.
And it's I've seen them plenty too, and it's crazy good. Crazy good.
And they were one of my favorite bands to work with too. They were.
The new album's really good. I mean, even though vocal differences, obviously, because we're not in the same. But yeah, really good.
Billy and Kenny have brought new blood into that band to keep them going.
Yeah. Yep.
Ray.
Who, me?
Turn.
Me?
Yeah. Right. Am I? Right.
Yeah, you might be right.
Okay.
Yep. Ray.
Pants.
So enamored with everything. Oh, I know we're not doing honorable mentions, but before going on, my wife said we have to pay tribute to Bobby Sherman's drummer, and she also wanted me to add Kourtney Kardashian's husband, the drummer from Blink 182.
Oh.
I told her I wasn't going to name either of those, but I would throw those names out there just to show that she's interested.
Okay. I bet Bobby Sherman's drummer was Hal Blaine.
Well, maybe so, right? Easy come, easy go,
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, in at number 4, this guy, he's the one that's still going from that progressive trio formed in the early 70s. So I've left off some big names on here, some other big names, for whatever reason. But this guy was never a huge fan of the band. I liked some of their stuff. But the thing is, with this guy, with the progressive categorization of the bands that he was involved with, this guy really, with their style of music, really had a chance to show his chops in so many ways, and makes him worthy of this spot. He's 1/3 of a trio that, the only third of the trio still living, and he would go on to be part of a band's of the next band which had one of the greatest debut albums of all time. I'm talking about 1/3 of Emerson, Lake and Palmer and the drummer for the band Asia. I'm not talking about Robert Palmer, or I'm not talking about Jim Palmer. I'm talking about Carl Palmer at number 4.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
And when you're playing in that kind of trio, man, you better be able to bring it.
Yeah.
That was one of the
And-
first cassettes I think I ever had, was that Asia album with the serpent on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
I can anybody
Heat
ever
of the
tell you the
moment.
name of that album?
Oh,
Maybe Jeff Crichton. What is
What?
the name? The Asia with the Serpent. What's the name of the album?
Asia.
It is Asia. Okay, see, I thought they just left the name off of it. I
Oh,
haven't. But
so good.
Yeah. That was one of the first albums I worked.
Fantastic.
That's hey, you have to drum that hard to get over all those other guys in there, right? Those other two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I like Unusual. I do. And the first time I heard this band, Unusual was an understatement. It can go from crazy avant-garde to subdued. And no, I'm not. Okay, Zappa wins that one all the way, right? So take that out of your head for a second. That's just way too far for me. This had to have some, I don't know, it had to have its angst. I had to know my drummer was getting his aggressions out too, and then could parlay in but just when it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Mike Borden, Faith No More. The drumming is so weird and wacky, and then it's right on par, and of course he's actually drummed with Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Korn, Black Label Society, and one of my favorite kind of sludgy records that I believe is actually better than most of the Alice in Chains records is Jerry Cantrell's Degradation Trips, and he was the drummer on both of those records. So
I love Faith
and
No More.
he drummed for Primus too. So, Mike Borden of Faith
Nice.
No More. And back to Sue for number 3.
All right. Well, we already kind of mentioned him before, but I still recall reading his book, and early on, Mark, him walking to school and drumming with his teeth and ruining his teeth as a result. He's just such a passionate musician, and fought his way into the scene, well, with punk bands, but then obviously broke out with Nirvana. And I was in the mood back then for that kind of like really heavy, loud drumming, and he came along at the right time. So I got to give it to Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic pick.
He's good. Yep.
4 out of
Learn-
5 dentists do not recommend drumming with your teeth.
No, try it. Like, it's not easy.
No,
It's not good for
I'm not
them.
even trying
Learn
that.
drumming on pillows. That's where he got to start, drumming on pillows. He took a bunch of pillows and put them together as a kit,
Yeah.
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 and almost became one of the Heartbreakers as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
one I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, he actually played with Tom Petty.
Yeah.
When Stan Lynch left the Heartbreakers, Tom
Yeah.
Petty and the Heartbreakers had a spot on Saturday Night Live when
Mhm.
Charles Barkley hosted, and Dave Grohl sat in and played with them. And
Yeah.
Tom Petty offered him the job, and Dave wanted to start the Foo Fighters.
Okay. So that I was trying to get the timetable on that. I'm going, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Great pick, Sue. Kind of figured maybe, sort of.
Yeah.
Mr. Crichton?
I'm looking at my top 5 and they're all dead. Weird.
That happens.
Anyway,
Coincidence?
happens.
Was it
And
good?
none of them combusted. None of them combusted on stage. So my number 3 might be, he might win the award as one of the, if he's not the crankiest drummer of all time, he's up there. But man, is he good? Or was good. He started out in Blues Incorporated, then went on to be the drummer in the Graham Bond organization in England. So also had a band called Air Force that had guys come and go with the 2 records they did. He was also in Atomic Rooster for a little while. He had a band called BBM. He also a fantastic drummer on a Masters of Reality album. Okay. And of course, his 2 most famous bands that he was in was Cream and Blind Faith. And if you have never seen the movie Beware of Mr. Baker, you need to go watch that movie. It's brilliant, it's hilarious, and that's why Ginger Baker is number 3 and maybe the crankiest drummer of all time. And he might be the first drummer that did a drum solo, an extended drum solo when his famous song Toad.
Yeah, there's a note. There's a note to that in several things, but no one wants to say that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's
So,
no
but he might have
question.
been playing Toad before the famous drum solo in Inagata Davida.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
influence on a lot of drummers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've
And
got
he
several.
played a bunch of styles too, because he could play
wow.
jazz. He was
and
that good.
avant-garde jazz too. Not even
Right.
that some stuff
Yeah.
was off kilter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
He was great.
Jeff Young.
My turn already? Man. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden. Like,
Oh,
I tell you what, man. Like the first Maiden album I ever got, which of course was a cassette because I was a '70s kid, was Peace of Mind. And the first track is Where Eagles Dare, which is just a drumming opening session. It's like, who is this? But notable tracks would be like Where Eagles Dare, Aces High, The Trooper, Power Slave, Moonchild, Deja Vu, just a bunch of them. Like, the drums are always notable in most songs. That they always carve out space, and there's fills, and but sometimes it's easy to just think of just the dueling guitars or or even Dickinson's vocals. But that's who I picked because I'm just a Maiden fan, so I'm so familiar with it. That's why it's a favorite. But I did read that in '82, when the band asked McBrain to replace Clive Burr, the news hadn't broken yet. So actually, McBrain made his first appearance with Iron Maiden on a German TV show disguised as their mascot, Eddie. And then I thought it was funny just to read that.
that sounds like something they would do.
On their World Slavery Tour, other drummers that were with them is like, opening bands or whatever, they had kind of referred to McBrain as an octopus after witnessing the way he has such stamina and hits everything his kit set up so that he doesn't even have to look at it. But yeah, anyway, just that's one of my favorites.
Okay, back to Steve.
Wait, now we're getting into the nitty gritty here a little bit. I have so many people in 3 spots.
Sure.
I'm going to try a guy who's part of a band where I grew up, nobody really thought of this band as much of anything. And I fell in love with them right from the start. And I was going to be comedic and say I saw them when I was 12 for the first time, but I saw them when I was 49 for the first time.
Wow.
Jeff Crichton saw them in 1980 at Stage 1, the night John Lennon died.
Oh, okay. Know where we're going now.
Yeah.
Larry Mullen is the backbone of U2.
Yes.
He simply is. Say what you will about the other 3, but I've been a fan since I was a kid when nobody loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic to watch everybody love them. And if you ever get a chance to see the documentary with David Letterman in Dublin, do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
good.
wonderful. It's wonderful. And
Junior, right?
well, yes, Junior. Yes. Not. I'm sure Larry Mullen's father might be a historic drummer, but Larry Mullen Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
He will be my number 3. But I tell you, unlike Razor, I won't do ties because I could tie probably 4
Yes,
guys.
I listen.
Yeah,
If somewhere
Yeah.
down the line you want to pull that in one show, later on when you've been blessed to be,
Yeah, I'll get a mulligan.
down the line. Yeah,
My rookie year, I don't
yeah,
want to.
yeah. You don't want to come in your rookie year unless you're Phil Housley or Pierre Turgeon.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
like Phil Housley predicting I'm going to be bigger than Bobby. I'm going to be better than Bobby Orr.
I don't
What?
want to be. I don't want to be.
Wrong.
I don't want to be Joe Charbonneau and be a one year in the band.
Although, statistically speaking, he did beat Bobby Orr.
Yes,
Which is crazy.
Yes.
Anyway, that's I'm sorry, I hockey sometimes.
Yes.
I'm really considered the Keith Gretzky of the show. So
yeah. So with the U2 drummer, my thing of this is like and being I have every album and all that. Like that's a drummer who morphed, right? Like they were pretty much, I'm not saying a punk band, but that was
Yeah,
a
they
little
were.
raw. Now
They-
all of a sudden there's
they-
gated drums, there's all kinds of
That's a fantastic point. That the evolution of that band and what he's forced to do as like I mentioned, I look at all these folks as the point guards of the band, and as bands morph, you're forced to it's, using a hockey term, switch on the fly.
Yep.
And,
Mhm.
he's a great example of that.
No, I love that
Right.
pick. I did when you started talking about it, I go, oh, I know where he's going. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that guy, it's totally different drummer from where he started.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
one thing about these drummers, they can't do what the bass guy does or what the guitar guy does. Well, I think I'll play some keyboards.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Here, stick to the sticks.
Yes.
Ray, what you got?
All right. Well, most or many I know will probably have him at 1 or 2. He was so great in so many ways from one of the most talked about bands of all time. And if you live in Buffalo, there's certain classic rock stations that beat the living HE double hockey sticks out of the band. His death changed the band forever, set up millions of drummers to want to do their best Bonzo imitations. Top 5 cannot possibly be complete for this guy. Once he died, it was too much of a blow for the band to ever go on. And I'm talking about the one and only John Bonham.
There if we were to do the show and he doesn't get mentioned at least 6, 7, 8, 9 times, it'll be amazing to me.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I took him at 3. I got a couple of
Yep.
I'm taking ahead of him from a favorite.
listen, these are your favorites. So there's a sound, and that's a shorter catalog. That's a shorter stench. That,
Yeah.
who knows, right? All right. I am going to go with a sessions drummer. Probably, maybe my favorite sessions drummer. His resume, his skin shifting, his pedaling, living in other people's headspaces. He doesn't get to do the creation. He gets to do the what about this, what about that, and one of some great fills at the time is I always paid so close attention to when he was on a record. That's why you get this stuff, because the liner notes, they tell you things, right?
Yeah.
So just to mention a few, like Mr. Crichton did, I'll do the mentioning here. And once I start with the first one, Jeff will go, oh, I know who it is. Peter Gabriel, Sting, Joni Mitchell, Dire Straits, Jeff Beck, Herbie Hancock, Tony Levin, Robbie Robertson, Tori Amos, Tracy Chapman, Joe Satriani, and Tears for Fears. And his own solo records, which I listen to, not generally in the company of other people because they generally wouldn't know who I was talking about, but his name is Manu Katché. And he is probably one of my favorite sessions drummer, if not what I believe one of the best sessions drummer in that era where you probably could have called in anybody to some of these records and how they were made. But Daniel Lanois and some other people went, how about I get Manu Katché instead? How about I need something. I don't need it. I need a sessions drummer with a brain, with a way to make something happen. And I don't know what his personality was. I'd love to see a documentary on him, but I assume he enveloped a lot of different styles over the. I'm sure Ginger Baker and all that is in there because this goes from jazz to rock to anything,
Yeah.
even country. Because I thought he was on one of the Willie Nelson records, but I didn't see the note. But I thought he was on one of the Willie Nelson records. Anyway, Manokache, back to Sue.
Well, he's already been mentioned, but I also had picked Lars.
Ah.
Mainly because he's probably the biggest reason why I started to listen to Metallica, because they kind of, how do I say this? They were a little scary to me at the time. I wasn't really into that kind of music. I mean, they had really powerful, dark, heavy songs going on with obviously heavy stories and themes. And I just remember seeing him, and he was like, aside from being an incredible drummer, he was very approachable, and I think he was kind of like their PR person in some ways. And obviously an incredible drummer, and he helps me to get through a lot of runs when I need an extra oomph. So yeah, Lars also. I don't know who would say a bad word about him, but
well, when you put him up against these great drummers of all time, it tends to get nasty. I don't know why.
He's been around a long time though. Like you said, still going. So,
but I will say the Metallica diehardists, they hate Saint Anger. They hate it because the drum sound. I love that record. I love that sound. It felt so raw, and it's hard to get out of a drum. They tend to be overproduced, and where you put the microphone and stuff is so critical now. Mr. Crichton, this is number 2, right? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Number 2 of my all-time dead favorite drummers.
So his next in 2 weeks, are they all alive?
I don't know.
Next up, what are most likely to rise from the dead?
My number 2 pick has been mentioned. He is he was the Thunder in Led Zeppelin, and Moby Dick became a classic live as well as on record. For me, the best rock drumming I've ever heard in my life was his drumming on In My Time of Dying on Physical Graffiti. The drumming on that song totally blows me away. And like Ray said, when he left this earth, the other 3 guys couldn't go on and replace him. The reunion they did back 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's 18, right? 2007.
Yeah, I want to say it's getting on 20.
London.
Yeah. Jason sat in for him, as Jason sat in when they got the Kennedy Awards too, and Jason wore his dad's bowler hat. And Jason's really good in his own way, but John Bonham, there's only one of him.
Yeah.
And he was a powerful man behind that kit. So he's my number 2.
Okay.
He was like a musical athlete.
Yeah.
Mr. Young, number 2.
All right, I'll just hop on the Lars Ulrich bandwagon.
Oh, jeez.
And he actually started out as a tennis player because his parents were pro tennis players, but wound up his father, who one of the stadiums, somebody had got him up that he had played tennis in, got him 5 passes for him and his dad and his friends to go see Deep Purple. But then one of his friends backed out, so he gave the ticket to his 9-year-old son Lars, and that made Lars said he was mesmerized by the show, and then immediately went out and bought the Fireball album, and then got influenced, for his style by a band called Diamond Head, and that's when he just knew he was going to be a drummer. But he's when I look at different things written about him, it's he's known as a pioneer, I guess you would say, of the fast thrash drum beats. So notable songs would be like from Kill 'Em All, like Metal Militia, or Fight Fire with Fire from Ride the Lightning, Battery, and Damage Incorporated from Master Puppets, or Injustice for All, you got like Dyer's Eve. But he's also kind of influential with the double kick drums, like especially more noticeable on And Justice for All, like with One or Dyer's Eve. And then I read that since the Black album, he adopted a less focused and simplified approach where he went from a 9-piece kit to just 7 pieces, which probably helps too as you're getting older. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, just a drummer that I grew up listening to for album after album. Again, having just seen him play 2 2-hour performances and just one of my favorites.
Cool.
Nice.
Let's go to Steve. You got your number 2 ready?
I do. I want to preface this by saying, in my humble opinion, 1 or 2 of the greatest in either spot 1 or spot 2 of the greatest drummers of all time would be John Bonham. I don't disagree with that.
No,
One iota. But this is my top 5 favorite drummers. So, with that said, I've seen this guy in many incarnations of his band. He probably should be dead by this point. But when you go to see him, there's always that spot in the concert where they play drums in space. That would be Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead. It's been around forever. You'll probably catch this theme that these bands I've seen multiple times are the ones that I'm pulling out of the hat.
Makes sense. You see your favorite bands the most, right?
Yeah. And Ray and I just had the pleasure of seeing a Half Dead cover band. So it was nice to hear some of the songs and get reminded. So Mickey is my number 2.
Cool. I got a feeling somebody's going to have that on their list too. All right. Mine. Technical drummer. There seems to be like I don't know. When you think of Bonham, okay? That's maybe technical drummer, but let's face it, creative drummer, on the spot, and and we can mention other people. But technical drummers tend to get like, oh, they're great to have, and maybe they can play that drum better than the guy who made it, but the guy who made that song, But then there's those technical drummers that technically create something completely different, completely shocking. They set a mood, unabashed in their brilliance, and there's interesting musical choices. And this guy has definitely captured that. He is like the backbone of just dark and brutal. And I'm not talking brutal in a sense of too much pounding or anything like that, but just brutal mentally. And he has been in, he's drummed for Adrian Belew. He's drummed for Skinny Puppy, but what he's known for is Tool. And that's Mr. Carey, Mr. Danny Carey. And when that drum hits, there is immediate identification of the guy at the drum set. And I don't recommend it if you have anxiety. I don't recommend it if you have a mental illness. But that's my jam in there. And I had to mention him. And I know Skinny Puppy. I did not see Skinny Puppy live. I was too scared to go. There's nothing like a vocalist singing who's trying to hang himself at the same time on a bungee cord. But holy shit. Anyway.
Actually,
all right.
I saw him recently. I was a little let down.
Yeah, but you saw them without
those guys. It's like 2 they got now, whatever.
Yeah.
I got a number 2 for you before you move on.
Oh, yo, Ray. Yep.
Yeah, you gave me the Alex treatment.
Yeah, I did. Go ahead.
iPad, you're in his spot too, just so you know.
Too often overlooked among the greatest of all time. You can go and pull out all the way old school blues and the early rock guys, and only the ones that only the stalwarts know about, or you can stick to rock music where the true geniuses are. This guy didn't have the name recognition that the trio's lead singer had. And no, I'm not talking about Ginger Grumpy Baker. I'm talking about a super talented guy and was blown away when I finally got to see the band in 2008 after many, many, many years not performing together. I was simply amazed by the talents of one Mr. Stuart Copeland,
Oh yeah.
the Police. What just amazing. As much as you wanted to listen to Sting and those unique vocals, just
Mhm.
watching Stuart Copeland, I'm thinking, man, is he part of the Blue Man Group or what? Because he was fantastic.
When did you see them?
2008, Elvis Costello opened that show.
I think I was at that show.
And
Yeah,
he can
it was
and he
so
could play
good.
any style.
Oh,
Mhm.
he's so talented. And
Sure
of
is.
course, he's the main annoyance in Sting's life, but that's too damn bad. But he was so good. So yeah, I'm giving him number two over
Nice.
maybe some other worthy personnel.
That's great. Soup, number one for part one.
My number one belongs to a group that I think some of the people on this panel don't love, but one of my favorite bands, and definitely a major part of the formula that I think made them so successful. I went with Neil Peart of Rush. Um, you know,
Surprised nobody mentioned him earlier.
yeah, I
Oh,
was
this
waiting
is where
for
he
it.
needs to be mentioned, Jeffrey.
Okay.
So definitely, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there would be a Rush without Neil Peart.
That's true.
Solid pick.
And the drum set. I mean, is there anybody that has a drum set that needs 6 moving bands to have it put on stage? It's not like some of it gets ignored either. He was amazing, and still to me, yeah, no question. Jeff Crichton, number one.
Okay, it's not Dave Clark from the Dave Clark Five.
Okay.
It's not Mickey Dolenz either.
Okay.
It is my favorite drummer of all time.
Ooh.
May not be stylistically accurate. He was nuts. He loved to blow up hotel rooms.
I know who this is.
He loved to throw TVs outside the window. But when the Who first came on the scene, you had Roger as the focal point as the vocalist. You had Pete doing the whirlwind windmill thing with his guitar, smashing his instruments on stage. You had Entwistle as the quiet, incredible bass player who sometimes traded leads with Townsend. And then Townsend's even said, our lead instrument early on was Mooney, and I got to see the Who once with Keith playing, and Keith Moon to me is his drumming on those Who records are phenomenal, and he stands alone in my world. Keith Moon, numero uno.
Yeah, he knew how to beat a room to death.
Oh yeah, and a drum
And a
kit
drum
as well.
kit.
Yeah,
He was the influence between Jim Henson's Muppet Animal.
yeah. But he kept the beat behind the band too. He was great. Didn't make a great solo album, and he is Zach Starkey's godson. That's why Zach got to play with the Who up until about a month ago.
Okay. Wow. I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
Mr. Young, what's he got at number one?
For this 5, I'm going to go with one of my favorites would be Alex Van Halen.
Nice.
Always worked so well with his brother. I just think, notable drumming, of course, like Hot for Teacher, Dirty Movies, I'll Wait, Finish Where He Started, just Ice Cream Man, I'm the One, How's the Pants, like just so many, right? He's always had a a mark on most songs, and trained with his brother as a classical pianist early, and then I'm sure you guys know, like originally they played opposite instruments, and
Yep.
You know, while Eddie was delivering newspapers to pay for his drum kit, Alex would take the time to play on the drums, and then he got to be better than Eddie. So then I guess one time Eddie realized that when Alex mastered the Safari's drum solo on Wipeout, he decided he was going to switch and not play drums anymore and go to electric guitar. But yeah, I mean, I know Alex had said he had, you know, a lot of influences like Ray Phillips, the Budgies, and obviously John Bonham, a couple others. But yeah, just, you know, his drumming always fits. And no matter what era of Van Halen you're listening to, it just always fits well. And it's always noticeable. There's always some beats and at least half the album that you just are memorable.
Right. Yeah. No question. He's one of those drummers that I think he gets
Also the
more...
first drummer I ever saw live too.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
Oh, wow.
If you exclude the opening band, Bachman Turner and Overdrive, and it was the first drum solo I ever saw.
Yeah, he's one of those, like, the solo, right?
Yeah.
The drum solo made him, I think, right? I think that's where people gravitated to, you know. And then you start to realize, wow, what else is going on at the same time? But his drum solos were crazy. You know,
I mean, back in that day, everyone had a guitar solo, everyone had a drum solo, everyone even did bass solos.
yeah, some people who
Solos
should
were
have
big.
had him. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be a guitar solo. Great. Good pick. Really good pick. Steve, what's your number one for part one?
My number one will come as no surprise to the man in the blue shirt, because we had the pleasure of going to what I like to refer to as his calling hours, as he was not present when we went to see them the last time we saw them together. He is the silent assassin. He's already been mentioned. He is the backbone of the world's greatest rock and roll band. He is Charlie Watts.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yep, had the pleasure of seeing him with Ray a number of times. Yeah, just sat back there. Looked like he was
All business.
well, yeah, all business, and about as nonchalant as, you know, just this classic cool.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have Mick, you've got Keith, you got Ronnie, but the coolest guy in the band is the guy in the back who is just seemingly nonchalant, and you know, a big piece of that band, you know, went in the grave with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear his big band album, Steve?
No, I have not. No.
It's really good.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah.
All right, Ray. It's
Well,
time for the finale.
Yeah, if you had asked me like 45 years ago, I'd probably be putting Peter Criss in here right now, but I'm not gonna.
Then I'd have to say this might be time for you to leave.
All right. Well,
But it's your favorite. It's your favorite.
You know, even before I go into it, I'm just dropping the mic, okay? Because the greatest drummer of all time, and argue all you want, boys. Crichton, argue all you want, and tell me how you don't like them, because I can't hear you. Ladies and gentlemen from the Great White North, be sure to pronounce his name correctly. It's not like the old school shampoo. The greatest, the master, the doctor, the template. Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Peart.
True that.
Jessica.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to go and give you the guy who might have been influential to all of them. I'm going to go back to 1910. All right, so he was born in 1910. He died the day after my 18th birthday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you know, doing the research in this. And I have had shows about this drummer. I cannot fathom how in the 1940s, 1930s, you can do this kind of thing and be that, and just, the technology's not there. The
Right.
the kit, there's not 7,000 things on there.
No.
Just maybe what,
Three,
six?
three
Three?
maybe.
Yeah, three.
Three
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
4 tops.
I can listen to his drumming and just slip away. And that's Art Blakely.
Ah,
And it is just an amazing thing to me, how that's he could go from signature jazz to bebop to, and I can't even imagine what it would, the feel, the touch, and it never looked like it was happening, and like the wrist wasn't going ape shit. It's just little things like, and just amazing to me. I know this would be a person that would be on the top lists of all time too, obviously, with Ginger Baker and these guys. But to go back, and even those records that they don't, they got that fuzz and, glint on them or whatever, but they sound, the drums sound great. Some of the other instruments, they're hanging on by a string, but he's just slamming it, and I love listening to Art Blakely. I wish there was more, but there is what there is, right? So.
yeah, he was on this list I have here. Yep.
Hey, a lot of these people, they're not gonna, they deserve to be on this. There's not a solitary soul. I mean, you could do the 100 drummers of all time, and you'd be leaving off 100 other ones that
were
really, really, really good too. And but and to note this at the finale here, just the part one, these drummers, with what we just said, like 100, another 100, it's almost like in sports, where there's always somebody who could take your place, to me.
Yep.
In this whole thing. And I didn't realize it the other day until someone else spoke about this when they were talking about the pressures of drumming in the time in England, and how many great drummers there were, right? And we mentioned a few today.
Yeah.
So he's like, some of those guys started to get sick, all right? And they were worried about getting sick and being replaced because they couldn't. So that was kind of where the drug thing.
I mean, your drummer's kind of like your quarterback or your pitcher. You're not going to play without the drummer.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play football with quarterback.
And you're not replacing him with a bongo player.
No. And this is where the drug thing came in, and it they wasn't mental illness. They just didn't want to be ill, and because you had to keep playing and you had to keep going because somebody else would take your spot. So pretty. I just want to keep that in there when we talk about this. There's always somebody. And these people that we're talked about today, and when we'll talk about in 2 weeks, the next week, I'm like, it's going to go from here to here. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we talked about Neil Peart and John Bonham and Peart. What is it? Neil
Peart.
Yeah, just have a simple name, would you? But yeah, I list 2, right? Can't wait.
Not all of us can have a simple name like Kuliowski.
Yes, of course.
Right. And nobody mentioned Desi Arnaz.
No, not yet anyway.
Right.
I'll thank the panelists for doing this tonight. Obviously, since we're doing 2 parts, you can throw your first 5 out there. Throw it out there. Put a comment out there, and we'll check it again in 2 weeks against your next list. We love that stuff. Hit the like button. Like what you like. If you don't like it, if you don't like the video, again, give me, holler at me. Tell me why. Give us, take that. But don't dislike it because Rush was there. I know, Jeff Crichton keeps clicking it every time we do Rush. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Can't help myself.
Subscribe if you haven't already because it's still free. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, articles, videos, podcasts. It's all about albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Don't forget to check out a couple of other shows this weekend. I'm doing album review Saturdays, as I always do. There are some killer records on there. I mean, absolutely killer. And Unknown Sundays this weekend is there's a drink named after this band. Thanks for watching, and happy listening.